Yeah? Okay. Right. Today we're going to get out on the road quite a lot and we're going to encounter pedestrian crossings. Now, there's something called a controlled version, which is the lights, or an uncontrolled version, which is this version, the zebra crossing. So, tell me, have you ever used either of those types of crossing as a pedestrian? Oh, great, you have. So how did you know it was safe to go? Well, on the zebra crossing, I faced the crossing, I looked for the cars coming, and I waited till they stopped, and then I went across. Great. So, as a car user, what you can find is that you can then use that information as if you're seeing pedestrians, because you'll know if somebody's facing that crossing, they want to go, and therefore it's in our interest to basically make sure we wait for them to get across that road. Now, once we've identified a crossing, and we can do that via the road signs or the fact we see zigzags on the floor, we need to basically do one of three things. First of all, as I say, it could be empty. Second of all, there could be somebody coming towards the crossing. Or third of all, they literally are there waiting, or the button's pressed and it's gone to red. So when those situations come up, as I say, we've got to use pretty much the same skills to begin with, in the fact that I want you to check your centimetre on all three of them when you're approaching that crossing. Now, if it's empty, you don't, once you've checked that mirror, you don't need to do anything. Just keep going at the same speed. You can literally keep going. The second one, where they're coming towards the crossing, or you've seen the button being pressed, we want to check our centimetre, but then ease off the gas. And so, because potentially it could change as we're getting closer. It gives you more opportunity to stop. The final one, yeah, the person's facing the zebra crossing, or the lights are going to red, just like a set of traffic lights. All we need to do is see what's behind us and basically bring the car to a nice controlled stop at the crossing line. Now, I keep going on about checking that centimetre every time you basically want to, you see that what's these three potential outcomes. And the main reason is the same reason as we check the side roads on a crossroads, is because we're looking for those emergency vehicles in our mirror. Because if we see one, what I don't want you to do is end up stopping in the middle of those zigzags, because it's illegal and potentially dangerous if somebody then wants to cross after the emergency vehicle's gone. So we have to make a decision and say, do we stop before the zigzags or go after it and find a safe place after? So that centimetre check is crucial to making this work really well. Now, we've done the zebra crossings, and potentially on this one, as you can probably see, there's an extra area in the middle, and in theory it is where you can treat it as two separate crossings, and if it feels right that the person's not going to be anywhere near us, we'll go. But if it feels like it would be beneficial to the pedestrian, then we'll make you stop and just wait. But we'll work that out together. Now, light controlled ones. There are four different types, I say, you'll come across in your theory test. But generally speaking, there are only two varieties. There's one where basically they work on a timer, and another one where they work on sensors. So the old style pedestrian crossing, the Pelican version, basically they press a button, it goes to red, but it works on a set amount of time for that particular crossing. And when it actually wants to then come back towards green, the amber light will go and start flashing at you. So in theory, there could still be people on that crossing, or it could be empty. Now, if it's empty and you've checked there's nobody else trying to run onto it, we can go. And so because there's nobody there. If there's still somebody on there or somebody running to the crossing, just use a bit of caution. The other version, is basically this thing with the sensors on them. You'll see these little cameras on the top, and what happens with these is, again, it goes back to red, for the cars, for them to wait for the pedestrian, but the sensors know when the person stepped off. And when that happens, it will then go back to a solid amber. Again, as long as nobody's running on at the last second, we can proceed on the amber light. And all about just knowing it's safe. So, only other thing on the picture is something called a staggered crossing. If the roads are really wide, you'll find that people can't get across in one go. So they actually make this little bit in the middle, as you can see, and each of the lights are separate. So when you get on there, all you're going to do is basically work to the lights. And what you'll generally find is that people press it and it goes to green on that one, but this one's still on red, and they have to come through and press the button again on the new lights. But again, if we see all of this, I'll talk you through all those situations. So, are you ready to have a go?
Yes.